Hello and welcome to the IT Campus group. My name is Kashif Javed and I am AWS Certified Solution Architect and Certified Developer. Today video we will talk about AWS Identity Access Management called IAM. Let's deep dive into the topic we're gonna discuss here. In this video we will talk about what is Identity Access Management called IAM, what are the features of identity access management, and what are the key terminology or component of identity access management, how you can work or access identity and access management, and how identity access management works, and in last demo of AWS identity access management. First, let's understand what is identity access management. AWS Identity and Access Management IAM is a web service that enables you to manage access to AWS services and resources securely. You use IAM to control who is authenticated, signed in, and authorized has permission to use resources. IAM is not a region-based service, it is a universal, or you can call it global. It is very important to understand IAM and how it works both for the exam and for administrating a company AWS account in real life. Basically, if you are going to use AWS, you need to understand IAM because IAM allows you to set up user, groups, permission and roles, and basically allow you to grant access to different part of the AWS platform. Now let's talk about what kind of features IAM offer. Identity Access Management offers the following feature. It gives you shared access to your AWS account, mean you can grant other people permission to administrator and use resources in your AWS account without having to share your password or access key. It gives you granular permission. You can grant different permission to different people for different resources. For example, you might allow some users complete access to Amazon Elastic Compute EC2, Amazon Simple Storage S3, and other AWS services. For other users, you can allow read-only access to just some S3 buckets or permission to administrator just some EC2 instance or to access your billing information but nothing else. It gives you centralized control of your AWS account and it gives your identity federation including Active Directory, Facebook, LinkedIn. What do you mean by that? It just means that you can use Microsoft Active Directory or Facebook or LinkedIn with identity access management. So potentially your user could log into the AWS console using the same username and password that they use to log in into the Windows PC. So that is just using Active Directory, or it could mean that your end user, let's say you have developed a mobile game or something and it is storing information on AWS, they can do that using their Facebook or LinkedIn credentials, etc. IAM also give you multi-factor authentication. This means that you can add two-factor authentication to your account and to individual user for extra security. With MFA, you and your user must provide not only a password or access key to work with your account, but also a code from a specially configured device. It also provides temporary access for user or devices and services where necessary. Good example is if someone is using mobile application and they are storing data into a AWS account and you only want them to be able to do that when they are using mobile app itself, so it is a temporary access. It also allows you to set up your own password rotation policy, mean you may want to your user change or rotate their password every 3 months or every 3 weeks, entirely up to you, and it integrates with many different AWS services and it supports PCI DSS compliances. It is a compliant framework that if you are taking a credit card details, you need to be compliant with the framework. So IAM support PCI DSS compliances. Next is key terminology or component of IAM. There are four key terminology for IAM: users, groups, policies, and roles. Let's start with users. Users are just simply end users such as people, employee of an organization, etc. With IAM, you can create new users to your organization and you can securely manage access to AWS services. When newly user created, then that user doesn't have any permission. You need to assign the permission to use AWS services. Groups. It is a collection of users. You can create IAM group to specify permission for multiple users so that any permission applied to the group are applied to its user as well. So you might have a group that is able to access S3 or EC2 or might have other services. If you will apply any services in a group, the user in that group that will inherit the permission of the group automatically. A very important thing that is a group can have many users and a user can belong to many groups. But a group cannot have a group inside a group. That is not possible, and there is nothing called a default group that sort of automatically includes all the users in the AWS account. Policies. Policies are made up of document called policy document, and these documents are formatted in JavaScript object notation called JSON, and they give permission as to what a user, a group, or a role is able to do. In this policy document, the first line of the policy document is version, mean when this policy document is being created. The second line of the policy document describes who and what is authorized. This could be a user or group or other resource of AWS. Action value describes which tasks are allowed to be performed. In this scenario, two API calls are allowed on AWS S3, that is delete object and get object on S3. Next we have a condition on which condition needs to be met for authorization. In this example, only IP call that is registered here is allowed to designated permission. Finally, we have resources to which authorized tasks are performed. In this example, only two buckets of S3 billing market and billing sale on user can perform action. User cannot access any resources that you have not explicitly granted permission to. There are two types of policies, managed policies and inline policies. First, let's discuss what is managed policies. Manage policies that you can attach to multiple users, groups, and roles in your AWS account. Manage policies apply only to identities, not resources. You can use two types of managed policies, AWS managed policies and customer managed policies. AWS managed policies that are created and managed by AWS. If you are new to using policies, we recommend that you start by using AWS managed policies. Customer managed policies that user create and manage in your AWS account. Using customer managed policies, you have more precise control over your policies than when using AWS managed policies. Second type of policies is inline policies. Inline policies that you create and manage and that are embedded directly into a single user, group, or role. Roles. IAM role is a set of permission that define what actions are allowed and denied by an entity in the AWS console. An IAM role is similar to a user in that it is an AWS identity with permission policies that determine what the identity can and cannot do in AWS. A role doesn't have any credential, password, or access key associated with it. Instead, if a user is assigned to a role, access keys are created dynamically and provided to the user. Roles permission are temporary. You can use role to delegate access to user, application, or services that don't normally have access to your AWS resources. Next is accessing IAM. AWS services and resources can be accessed using the AWS Management Console, AWS CLI, or through SDK and API from a wide range of supported platforms. User and system have to be authenticated before they can access AWS services and resources. The AWS Management Console provides a web-based way to administer AWS services. If you are account owner, you can sign in to the console directly using the AWS account root user. It is, however, advisable to create individual IAM user for each user and sign in using individual credentials. The AWS CLI is a unified tool to manage your AWS services. With AWS CLI, you can control multiple AWS services from the command line and automate them through script by using access key ID and secret access key. AWS CLI is supported on Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and Unix platform. AWS offers support for a wide variety of programming platforms including .NET, Java, and Python. Now let's talk about the building block or elements that make complete IAM. So elements are categorized into 6 different elements. We have the principal, authentication, request, authorization, action, and resources. Let's talk about principal. A principal is a person or application that can make a request for an action or operation on an AWS resource. A user can be a principal or role can be a principal. The principal is authenticated as the AWS account, root user, or an IAM entity to make requests to AWS. As a best practice, do not use your root user credential for your daily work. Instead, create IAM entities. You can also support federated user or programmatic access to allow an application to access your AWS account. Authentication. Authentication is a process of confirming the identity of the principal trying to access the AWS product. How it would be authenticated? It would be authenticated by using their credential to send a request to AWS. To authenticate from the console as a root user, you might sign in with your email address and password. As an IAM user, provide your account ID or alias and then your username and password. To authenticate from the API or AWS CLI, you must provide your access key and secret key. You might also be required to provide additional security information. For example, AWS recommends that you use multi-factor authentication to increase the security of your account. Request. When the principal tries to use the AWS Management Console, the AWS API, or the AWS CLI, that principal sends a request to AWS. The request includes the following information: action or operations, the action or operation that the principal wants to perform. This can be an action in the AWS Management Console or an operation in the AWS CLI or AWS API. Resources. The AWS resources object upon which the action or operation are performed. Principal. The person or application that used an entity to send the request. Information about the principal include the policies that are associated with the entity that the principal used to sign in. Environmental data. Information about the IP address, user agent, SSL enabled status, or the time of day. Resource data. Data related to the resource that is being requested. This can include information such as the DynamoDB table name or a tag on an Amazon EC2 instance. AWS gather the request information into a request context, which is used to evaluate and authorize the request. Authorization. During authorization, AWS uses values from the request context to check for policies that apply to the request. It then uses the policies to determine whether to allow or deny the request. Most policies are stored in AWS as JSON document and specify the permission for principal entities. AWS check each policy that applies to the context of your request. If a single permission policy includes a deny action, AWS denies the entire request and stop evaluating. This is called an explicit deny. Because requests are denied by default, AWS authorizes your request only if every part of your request is allowed by the applicable permission policies. Actions. After your request has been authenticated and authorized, AWS approves the action or operation in your request. Operations are defined by a service and include things that you can do to a resource, such as viewing, creating, editing, and deleting that resource. For example, IAM support approximately 40 actions for a user resource, including create user, delete user, get user, update user. To allow a principal to perform an operation, you must include the necessary action in a policy that applies to the principal or the affected resource. Now, where the action is performed, it is performed on resources. Resources. After AWS approves the operation in your request, they can be performed on the related resources within your account. A resource in an object that exists within a service. Example includes an Amazon EC2 instance, an IAM user, and an Amazon S3 bucket. The service defines a set of actions that can be performed on each resource. If you create a request to perform an unrelated action on a resource, that request is denied. For example, if you request to delete an IAM role, but provide an IAM group resource, the request fails. In a demo, we are getting our hands dirty with AWS IAM. In this, we will learn about identity access management, which is very important because this service gives you access to control permission to all other services and to also create user groups and roles. So let's go ahead and start. So I'm in the AWS Management Console and can get Identity Access Management Service, looking for security, identity and compliance, or click on search option and type IAM, then on search result choose IAM service. IAM splash screen or landing page will open. Here is the IAM user sign in link. You can share this link with your user for sign in into this account. It is simply your account number, then signin.aws.amazon.com/console. You can customize this link by click on edit link. This is universal namespace and publicly accessible URL that people can use to sign in into this account. First, let me enable the multi-factor authentication root account. You might be thinking about root account. Root account is just username and the email address that you first signed up with AWS. The root account is used to create user, group and roles, so you need to secure the root account by enabling the multi-factor authentication. If someone steals your username and password, they will not be able to log in without multi-factor authentication. To enable MFA, just click on Enable MFA and click on Activate MFA. You will get the three different type of MFA. Virtual MFA, U2F security key, and the hardware MFA device. I would use the virtual MFA and download the Google Authenticator app. You can download this app from Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Once you download, go ahead and hit continue and click here to show QR code. Now open the Google Authenticator app on the mobile and scan the QR code and input MFA code here and hit assign MFA. Now it says you have successfully assigned a virtual MFA, so go ahead and hit close. Then you come back to this landing page. In landing page of IAM or dashboard, you can create user group roles, policies, etc. under the access management section. And if you want to get additional information about IAM, you can view the documentation, video, IAM release history, and additional resources under from the additional information section. In a tool section, you can create web identity federation credentials by hitting on identity federation link. In a step 1, you need to authenticate with identity provider like Google, Facebook, etc. And in a step 2, obtain temporary security credential, and in last, need to provide access of AWS resource detail. I'll explain you how you can make or configure the web identity federation in my future video. Next is IAM policy simulator. It's help you to test, verify and understand resource level permission in your account. The policy simulator is a tool that lets you examine and validate the permission your policy set. Now the policy simulator will automatically provide a list of resources that must be set in order to simulate the action accurately. Next thing is to create an IAM user. Let's click on user link, then click on add user. Here I am adding my users. Username is just going to be my name, like my name is Kashif Javed, and I am going to put here. Then select my AWS access type. Right now we are using access type called AWS Management Console, so you can also enable programmatic access. In here we have got our password. I am just going to do an auto generated password, otherwise you can also generate custom password. And it says require a password reset, means user must create a new password at next sign in. Now click on permission button to add our permission. In this screen we have not created a group yet, therefore this is saying add user to a group. Let's go ahead and create a group. Let me create an admin group and give access of administrator to AWS. This is where we add our policies. If got this little AWS logo here, this is AWS manage policy. Just click on this little down arrow here. This is a JavaScript object notation or JSON which we were talk about before. It is a whole bunch of key value pair. This is the version of the policy. This is the statement of the policy got in square brackets, and again we have got more key value pairs which are under this statement. Let's go ahead and create this group. That has now created our admin group. Now I'm going to add user in that group. Click on next and hit create our user. Now our user has been created. In here you will see that we have got our access key ID and our secret key ID. This is for our programmatic access to AWS. You can click here and download a CSV file of user credential. We can also send email login instruction by hit on send email. It is going to open your mail client and email them login instruction as well. If you want to see password, click on show password link. So go ahead and click close button. Now we have our user here. We created a user with the name Kashif.Javed and he is a member of administrator group. Go back to dashboard. Here we can see that we have created user and also use group to assign permission. Similarly, you can create role to assign temporary permission to user, AWS services, or etc. This is a brief demo about IAM. If you have any question, you can drop a message in my video comments or my Facebook page. Alright, so what we learned in this video? We learned what is identity access management called IAM and what kinds of feature identity access management provides. Also, we learned key terminology or component of identity access management like user, groups, policies, and role. How you can access identity access management and how identity access management works. And in last, demo of AWS Identity Access Management. Thank you for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. For more information, please visit our website theITCampus.com and join my Facebook page with the name theITCampus, where you can talk about their experiences, help grow each other by sharing solutions, and would like to hold hands-off noises in putting them on a fast track on their learning path. In last, please don't forget to subscribe my channel and like my video and share your feedback. Thank you.